So our next speaker this morning is Dr. Manuel, who's with the University of Southern California, and he's going to give us a breakdown on immigrant integration and the economy, and hopefully after this we may be able to take some questions because he has some very interesting things to present about Los Angeles and about the state. Good food for thought. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here. I should note that when I was, I think, first asked to be here, I was asked to speak for quite a long time, maybe sort of a Fidel Castro 3-hour type speech. And then as they realized how popular the event was going to be and how many people would speak, the time got more and more and more limited. Currently I have 2 minutes. So let me just, I do have a little bit more than 2 minutes, but I thought I would give you sort of the 1-minute synopsis of the talk so you could doze off for the next few minutes and then come back for a rousing finale at the end. And in the midst of an economic crisis, there's a tendency for people to say that we need to abandon political luxuries like immigration reform and the programs for immigrant integration. But I'd like to contend that in the midst of this particular crisis, that's really one of the last things that you want to abandon. You know, what we're trying to fix in the short run is a series of problems that we need to address in the long run. And if you look at the long run for this state and for the country, the long run demographic crisis that we face is not the rise in immigrants, but it's the aging of the baby boomers. The aging of the baby boomers, which is going to create a dependency ratio of old on young, which is going to mean that increasingly boomers are going to rely on immigrants to move forward. Really a point that's been made so eloquently by our colleague Darrell Myers from USC. And this means that what's critical for the economy in the long run is making sure that immigrants do well so that their children do well and we can keep productivity moving forward into the future. Now, when a family faces a crisis, what they try to do is keep their kids in school, they try to hold on to their house, they try to keep their eyes on the long term and on the future. And what this state has unfortunately done is faced a short-term economic crisis and decided to target cuts around food assistance, healthcare, and education, which are going to deeply affect what we need to do in the long run to be productive and disproportionately affect immigrants and their children. One key fact, 50% of children in the state of California have at least one immigrant parent. That is the future of the state. What we do to make sure that immigrants and their children do well is really guaranteeing our path out of this economic crisis. For this, we need information and we need voice. People like me provide information and statistics, but really what's up to so many activists and others is to provide voice around these issues. Now, this is very important for the state, and just let me know right when I've hit, let me know 5 minutes from now and I'll conclude. On whatever I'm at, it'll be very rousing, I'm sure. The one thing that's very important for us to realize about the state is that, they say the share of foreign-born in the United States has been going up dramatically. It was actually up until 1990 going up in the United States as a whole, simply because it was rising so dramatically in California. And in fact, if you take California out from the rest of the United States, something in fact the rest of the United States has been eager to do given our fiscal crisis, what you'll find is that you didn't really see these demographic changes in the rest of the United States until the 1990s. But what's happening in California is our share of foreign-born is kind of plateauing, and what we're dealing with more is second-generation and third-generation kids. Again, what we do for immigrants now determines the future. It's particularly important in the county that we're at, in which 1 in 3 county residents are immigrant. 46% of the LA County workforce is foreign-born. Children are 2/3 of all LA County children are the children of immigrants. And of those children of immigrant parents, 90% are US-born citizens. They're not going anywhere. What we do by them and their parents will determine the future of the region. By the way, all of this is summarized in a nice report, which I think is somebody... Summarized in a nice report, which if you purchase, I think we give you special buttons too. No, actually there's a bunch of ones that are free right here, which has many of these statistics. We have a huge foreign-born population in Los Angeles County, but the striking thing is that the image, and it's something that Kevin De Leon was really helping to move us away from, when you think about the image of immigrants, what's in the popular imagination is that every immigrant is Mexican and they just got here. Now, one of the things that is pretty interesting is if you look at the share of immigrants by country from where they came, those who migrated over 30 years ago, long-term immigrants, about 45% were from Mexico. Those are folks who came here more than 30 years ago. Now, if you ask most people, well, what's it look like for those who came in the last 10 years, they imagine it's sort of 90–95% Mexican. These are the statistics. In fact, Mexicans are only 1/3 of those who arrived in the last 10 years. If you look at the demographics of this, there's a huge increase in Filipinos, Chinese, Koreans, Armenians, all of the groups that were being talked about before. And it's why it's so important to be seeing, in particular, this growth of activism and institutions in the Asian American immigrant community, reflecting the new demographics that are out there. This is a younger population. It tends to bunch up into basically prime working age areas. And so this is really, again, the productivity of the county and of the state and of the region.